Great, great. Thanks very much and welcome to everyone. I know for some it's good morning, for others it's good afternoon, and perhaps good evening for some of you. My name is Brendan McNally, and I'm the program director for the IE Brown Executive MBA program. And just thrilled to have you here today on this webinar where we're going to talk about career outcomes and return on investment from this program. My apologies. I have good news is I have a new computer. Bad news is I hadn't set up my background and a bunch of the other things where I can actually see chat and things. So my colleague Bryce is going to help us out. If you have questions during the talk today, I'm going to take probably just about an hour or so. But if you want to put those in the chat, Bryce will make sure we get to those pretty much towards the end. But thanks for joining. I'm in Providence, Rhode Island, at Brown University, and thrilled to have you here today. So what I'd like to cover in the hour that I have you is to give you an overview of the program. I have found in the 6 years that I have been with IE Brown that the variety and differences between executive MBA programs is almost unique to each program. So I find it very, very helpful in these types of sessions to make sure you understand how we structure the curriculum, what the format is in terms of residential versus online, some understanding of the curriculum so that you have a good understanding of who we are. And then for sure, I'll cover the highlight of career outcomes and return on investment for both the time and money in this program. I've got some great data for you as well as some personal stories. And then, as I mentioned, we'll hit some of the Q&A for those of you that you want. We are recording this, which is actually one of the reasons why we don't show everyone's profiles here. That way we can share it without needing to have permissions from everyone who is on. And at the end slide, if anyone needs to contact me or the team here at Brown, happy to do so. It will have contact information for us. So really important to kind of understand, as I just mentioned, the how this is structured and for whom. So this is an intensive program. We are 15 months long, and we cover what an accredited executive MBA program needs to offer in terms of curriculum. And I think you'll find that in the marketplace that's out there, we probably are one of the programs that has the shortest time to degree. We are targeted towards mid-career professionals. So usually what that means is at least 10 years worth of professional work experience, usually after a college degree, although we understand some people have different pathways in their educational journeys. Many of the people, most of the people in this program have risen to management and leadership positions, but often have not yet had sort of the business education that's really critical for their personal and professional development. We have a flexible format. It's not to say it's not intense and hard, but we mix residential sessions at IE University in Madrid, at Brown University in Providence, Rhode Island. We also go to Cape Town, and I'll cover that in just a few minutes. But we understand that you are busy people, people who do this program work full time. Everyone has their personal lives and do this program at the same time. The bottom left, what we do is we work really hard to provide you and to integrate management skills that are really going to help you advance in your career. And we do it, and we think that this is a really unique aspect of this program, is not only do you get cutting edge and the most current business and management education, you're also going to get quite a bit of classes in thinking approaches and analytical tools that come from social sciences and humanities. And we put those together in a number of instances where we can really make it practical for you. As I mentioned, 15 months from when we start to when we finish. We have 5 face-to-face sessions, residential sessions, two of which are in Madrid, two are in Providence, and one in Cape Town. I love this slide. On the right-hand side of this slide is an actual diploma that you receive when you graduate from this program. Brown has always had a tradition. We start this program in Madrid. We finish at graduation at Brown. Brown has always done their diplomas in Latin. However, this is the only degree, actually, that Brown issues that is a joint degree with another institution, and it has the IE logo stamp, Indonesia, as well as Browns. All right. This is really a fun one in terms of, from a business standpoint, we talk quite a bit about strategy. Well, it was a strategic relationship between two universities when we came together more than 15 years ago. IE Business School, located in Madrid, Spain, is a top-ranked global business school. They have been cutting edge in online learning long before all of us had to revert to Zoom during the pandemic. IE was at the cutting edge of faculty and students knowing how to really engage each other online. Brown University is located in Providence, Rhode Island. We're a member of the Ivy League, which tends to be synonymous with highly selective and prestigious, but probably most important for you to know, and we'll get into this as I talk about the curriculum, is our approach to teaching people how to read, write, and think from different disciplines. You'll hear a lot when people talk about a liberal arts approach, is where you are using research, you're using teaching, and learning from different disciplinary areas, faculty who are social scientists, faculty who are scientists, faculty who are in the humanities, and how do they approach problems? How do they look at the world? So in the IE Brown Executive MBA, you're getting two superb institutions. And when I look at what the ROI is, you'll see how well ranked and placed we are, which helps our students and our graduates in their careers. So what we provide in this program are 26 courses. They vary in length from 5 90-minute sessions to a few of them that are 20 sessions, each of which is 90 minutes. We break the curriculum up over the 15 months into 4 terms. And this is truly a joint program, a strategic partnership between both institutions, and it's an even split between the courses and the faculty that you get from both IE and Brown. So if you can do the math well, during any one of the terms of the 4 terms, you're going to be working on 6 to 8 courses at a time. So you need to be flexible. We cover a lot of material in that short time, and you have a lot of balls up in the air. And it is a mix of very vibrant lectures that are done in person and online. Quite a bit of discussions that you're going to have throughout the 15 months with us, and again, both online and person. Many projects, probably about half of the work that you do submitted for grades in this program is team-based. There's a significant amount of both time and assignments and work that's done that gets you to reflect on who you are as a person, as an employee, as a manager, as a leader, as a community member. And we'll make you write, and we're going to make you do presentations and help you improve those so that you can be more effective in your professional lives. Almost all of the classes that we offer out of the 26 will have both in-person sessions at either IE Brown or in Cape Town, and then all of them will have some component that is online. And we do it in a cohort. We will break you up into 2 sections for online work so that you really have an opportunity to participate, to be heard, to be seen, and all. Our cohort sizes range from 40 to 50 students over the last 5 years or so, and really proud. We currently have the last cohorts. The current one is at parity between men and women, but we're typically between 40 to 50% female to male. Educational approach. We break the curriculum up into 3 main pillars. And all of this is on the website for you to look at. But what we're hoping to provide to you through the curriculum are courses that will improve your understanding of the workplace, the nature of work, how to manage, what changes take place, what cultural differences there may be in different countries and different learning environments. And then also your leadership, both from an organizational standpoint of understanding how it can happen, from a theory approach, a practical approach, but then also you as an individual. Each of us has different styles, different approaches. There'll be quite a bit of work that is done in this program to help you advance your leadership skills. This is an executive MBA, so you're signing up for a program that is really going to help you with your business acumen. One can expect classes that we offer that are excellent in finance, in management, in operations, in marketing, and strategy, quite a few classes around technology, and particularly the strategy, use of AI. And then another category of classes, pillars that we have is strategic foresight. And we think that this is where there's an incredible amount of value that's delivered to you that's going to help you on your return on investment should you do the program. And it's really this forward thinking that we feel stays with our students long after they graduate. Cost accounting is an important class. We find a lot of people really enjoy it, often have not had a business background, can be really helpful. That will be in the business acumen category. But it's going to be classes that are thinking about the nature of work, the use of technology, changes in monetary policies, things that are getting you to be thinking out into the future and how might you approach it should any of these opportunities or challenges come to you. So in this category of strategic foresight, we have a great class taught by a sociologist that looks at globalization. And in particular, now, for many, many years, we was on the side of more and more globalization, thinking about supply chains, about teams, about employees being across the globe. And in the current environment, there's really a contraction and a lot of contradictions. How long it will last, who knows? But you'll have a number of deep classes, including this first one here in the age of globalization, of thinking about what the implications may be for you. We've got some great micro and macro economic classes that are thinking about how markets change, how currencies change, how institutions deal. That's the global economy. And then on a macro scale, we have a great new class that we offered this year that will continue on game theory, risk, and strategy. We offer a class on the shared history of slavery and capitalism. So this is where this uniqueness that I had mentioned of bringing in social sciences and humanities. This class looks at, in part, the history of capitalism, particularly from the United States, but it does get into many other Western nations that have capitalism as their economic model. But it looks specifically at the slave trade and how that has influenced a lot of what goes on in terms of the business environment in the United States and many other countries and regions where enslaved peoples were a main driver of economic growth and hence the development of financial institutions and practices, some of which, many of which, have led to systemic inequities. And we'll get into quite a bit in that class of really trying to understand what does it mean to have an economy that has much of its base, its wealth from the enslavement of people. So again, I challenge you to find out there other programs that are going to use topics that get you to think as a business leader about many of these important things about obligations we have to communities, to our customers, to our employees. And this history of slavery and capitalism is one of the ways that we really stretch your brain, stretch your thinking, stretch your perspective about thinking about economic models around the globe. Business acumen, as I mentioned earlier, these are your core bread and butter essential classes that are done exceptionally well. Most of them are done by IE faculty, although there are a few that are done by Brown. But as you could imagine, financial accounting, marketing, cost control. We have a great hands-on class in entrepreneurship, operation management. We have a new class that we're really excited about. It. We had started for a number of years for a 5 session course and now is grown to a 10 session course. It's the one on the bottom of the list called Responsible Data Science for Executives. So this will be a class that shows you a lot of the tools around data science and data analytics, including the use of AI. But it's got a different lens to it as well, particularly the last few sessions of really getting you as managers of data, of people, of systems to understand how algorithms can influence the types of results you get from querying your data. Thinking about the ethics, thinking about the governance, there's quite a bit of work that goes into this course that will help you understand the lay of the land in terms of how to take large volumes of data and then to use those in your business, but to be a very savvy consumer of this information and approaches. I have down for each one of these, and again, we're going to share slides for all of you who are on the call today, the faculty disciplines. Although these are all business acumen, business core classes, we have faculty whose backgrounds, whose academic backgrounds, come from many areas outside of just business. We have obviously economics is closely related, but history, sociology, there's humanities faculty who teach in this category. And then the third pillar is looking at workplace impact and leadership. So as you would expect, we do deliver, we think, in an excellent way, classes that help you understand leadership, management, supervision, workplace dynamic, workplace challenges. There's a great class, Leading Teams, People, and Organizations. The woman in the top right, Jill Waymore Payne, teaches this class. And I hear from students and alumni all the time about how this has opened up new ways of looking at organizations and then often within this class, trying things out within your work environment. So it's a very, very practical program where while you're in it, you're able to use some of the approaches, the analytical tools, some of the theory about how to improve your leadership style, how to help your people move to get closer to or to get to the goal. We have an inclusive organizational leadership class that really looks at the benefits, the challenges of diversity. We know it's a hot topic. We've seen a lot of big companies retract, but the fact of the matter is that for many businesses and many people who do a program like ours, employees, customers, all come from different walks of life, perhaps different socioeconomic backgrounds. This class really gets you to think about what are the dynamics of a very diverse stakeholder group and how might you include perspectives to help you in your decision making and discipline. All right, as any program you would hope, there's great opportunities within this program to do. There's a key reflection project, which is synonymous with a capstone. Students get to choose their topic and get to choose usually one or two other classmates to work on something that's really important to them. Most people in this program choose something that is going to be of great benefit to their professional lives, often things that could be very, very directly related to what they're doing on a day-to-day basis. But we also have students who love to tackle kind of big, challenging issues. We had a great example of a team that most of whom were from South America and saw the need for a platform that would allow people who have come to a new country to get services that they can. So they might have secured a job, but are challenged with food, with education, with transportation. So this group of students used the Key Reflection Project as a way to kind of build out a framework and a model that would allow an online platform to help people who are moving throughout different economies in South America. Entrepreneurial management for executives, part of this class is you do a startup. You find that value proposition, you test it, you present to faculty and other students. We have a great class, which is the foundation for the work that we do in Cape Town. For many years, it's been students working with entrepreneurs in the townships, but also working as we move, we'll be dealing more with mid-sized businesses as well. And then last but not least, we have a great group of practitioners who are in our Global Trend Seminar. Those are faculty from Brown and from IE who are out often in the workplace, either through their professional roles or through their research, and give you sort of a hands-on understanding of how people are actually using their approaches to solving problems. Okay, as I mentioned, format's really important about how we're going to deliver those great courses that I just offered to you. We break up, we have 5 residential sessions. We start in Madrid. Our next cohort will be in March of 2026. It's actually the very, very beginning of March. And we will be at IE University for Convocation, our opening, which we often do at their Segovia campus. Absolutely amazing. Was built on Roman ruins. It had been a medieval monastery, convent, and cathedral, and IE turned it into a modern, this just amazing facility, classroom facility in Segovia. But you'll spend 2 weeks in Spain, primarily at the IE campus. Then we go online for 3 months, and there's quite a bit of activities. These white bars in between actually don't do justice to the amount of coursework, teamwork that you're doing in between. When you're online, so in between these beautiful pictures, you're going to you'll have synchronous lectures that will take place during the week for classes, both IE and Brown, and you will have asynchronous forums, usually open up on a Tuesday, where faculty will put out a prompt, and then students will have the responsibility to do multiple posts over the course of 4 days, with faculty guiding the conversation to help you ensure that you're learning the material and learning from both the faculty member and your classmates. We come to Brown University in June for our second residential period for 2 weeks. Go back online. I'm getting ready on Sunday to head to Madrid for our October, 2 weeks in October. We do the 1 week immersion that I had mentioned in January for this next cohort that we're recruiting will be in January of 2027. It's usually the second week in January. So after the holidays, once things open up and businesses are ready to work with us. We go online for our final online period, and then you finish with classes here at Brown and with graduation at Brown University. So South Africa, I mentioned a few times. It is a 1 week program where we, through coursework, and primarily this entrepreneurial opportunities in developing regions class, where we preface your on-site work with many classes and hours prior to getting to Cape Town of understanding the economy, understanding how different business leaders do what they can do in South Africa, and then look at the different industries that the projects will be focused upon. Each team of students has been working with a different entrepreneur within a different sector. And the goal is over the time that we're there to interview customers, employees, stakeholders, and in particular, working very closely with the entrepreneur, her or himself, to come up with ideas about how to improve the business model, the business workings for this entrepreneur. There's a lot of learning of actually doing. This is not a theory class by any means, nor is it something that's usually a very sophisticated solution to the challenges, but rather something where there needs to be innovation and creativity that is really practical. There's, I think, a bias for many people, and this is we work hard to work with students, is to not jump to conclusions. In South Africa, like many other countries, developing countries, there are institutions, government and non-government institutions that try to do what they can do, but tend not to have the same effectiveness as other more developed economies. So students in this program and in this course really have to learn that while it might be something that it was expected that trash would get taken care of or that taxes would take care of this and that, the experiences that students have here are really trying to understand what it's like to be on the ground and have to find solutions that may not be available through at least what appear to be the promised resources, but really are ones that can't be the primary source. We find that this is a global experience for a lot of people who have not been to a country or a place like South Africa. We actually always have a number of students in the program from South Africa, so this is home for them, but coming to Providence or Madrid is a global experience for them. We very much in the middle bullet are thinking about how to take theories that you've had from other classes and that we offer in this and really turn it into real life and how you understand the challenges about the entrepreneurs and what you can do to help. And we do find this time and time again, and this really is actually one of the student outcomes that I'll get to in just a few minutes, is that students tell us that this is transformational when they go, that it's in a very, very different operating environment in which they have spent much of their personal and their professional careers. And it really gets them to think about how they assess problems and opportunities and limitations and their own attentiveness towards bias and power. It's very easy to come in and say, here's what you need to do. And we work very, very hard in this program to check that and to have you learn to listen, to learn to think, to learn to process, to prioritize, and to work with the entrepreneur to find out what is practical and doable within a relatively short time frame. Okay, here's the meat of what we want to offer to you today. This is a very intense program. It is an expensive program for most everyone who looks at it. But we find that what students, our alumni, get out of this program has an indelible, lasting, positive influence on their career outcomes and the return on their investment. So ROI, a business term, return on investment. And that investment is certainly going to be financial. What you need to put into paying for the tuition, paying for the travel of a program like this. But it's also an investment that you have to make in a program like this, where you're taking for the 15 months time out of both your professional and your personal life to really immerse yourself in the academic experience and the social experience at both IE and Brown to have them make you more, better, to upskill, to have more than what you started with. So you're going to invest a lot of sweat, sometimes tears, and I can guarantee you laughter that is going to be something that you're going to feel that you're getting more out of this program than what you put in. So, one thing that we know that influences people in terms of their career outcomes is their exposure on a global stage. This is not something where you'll sit in a classroom in Providence and learn about Europe. You will be studying in Madrid at a top business school. If you're from Europe, you're going to be in the United States at a top university. And again, I mentioned for many people, having traveled to South Africa is either new to them, but certainly to understand the business environment and to be working with people on the globe. So for your career, in terms of people asking, what have you seen? What have you done? These 15 months are going to set a global stage for you. And if some of you are already in that stage, we're hoping that this would really augment what you have already in your bag of tricks, if you will. Now, no surprise, but we're accredited. It's a pretty big deal. I can't remember the exact amount of executive MBA programs out there, but we're triple accredited out there by the key business accreditation bodies. And it's a little dated right now, but we were ranked number 3 in The Economist for executive MBAs. We were number 1 in Europe in that ranking. The more recent ones that have come out that we've participated in, QS World Rankings in 2025, those came out a few months overall. We end up number 5 in the world. And this are key things that I'm hoping that I covered before, and I will go into depth of like, why do we end up among the very top programs in the world? One of which is that our students, our alumni, when they answer these questions for the ratings, is they ask about diversity. So the number of people, men and women, from different countries, from different industries, and from different roles, we have found has been amazing in this program. It's what our students and our alumni tell us is a major benefit, something that helps them in their careers afterwards, is to have a network of people with whom they've studied or alumni that they can call on that really has many, many dimensions of diversity. Our alumni, when they answered the QS rating scale, almost 95% rated that their career outcomes were improved. So something where the new opportunities to move to a different role within the same company or move up in the same company, to switch companies, and then often for people to make a number of changes to go from a different type of role, functional area, and to a different company or a different industry. And then the profile. I'm humbled by, I've been at Brown for over 20 years. I worked in the private sector before I came to Brown. And I have to tell you, my day is pretty amazing when I get to tell my wife, my kids, my colleagues, the quality and how interesting the profiles are of the people in this program. And again, this is the highlight of today is talking about career outcomes and return, is know that you would be in a program, the IE Brown EMBA, that you'll be among people who are really truly accomplished. And they will be part of your speed dial when you have some questions and challenges and you're going, I need to call Brendan, I need to call Bryce to see how he or she would look at this challenge. Okay, more rankings and things that are really important. And again, in this discussion about what's the return, it's a fact of life that people make presumptions about you, about where you attended school, where did you get your schooling. We hope in all aspects, the reason is because both Brown and IE really work hard at what we do and what we do well. Neither institution is sitting on its laurels and past accomplishments. It's a very, very competitive world in higher education, and both Brown and IE are committed to bringing top scholarship to support for students and all. And we continue year in and year out to win top accolades. One of the things that I've loved in recent ones, this was from, I think it's U.S. News and World Report 2025. Brown ranks usually in the top 20, number 13, out of, in the United States, in the category of national universities, which in the parentheses, research and teaching. So what I love about that is that teaching has always been a really important aspect of Brown. And faculty who teach in social sciences, teach in the sciences and engineering and the humanities in the IE Brown program are the same ones that teach undergraduates at Brown, other master students, and PhD at Brown. So we rank number 13 in the U.S. News and World Report in the world, but you wouldn't get to know that those faculty, many of them are going to be ones that teach in the IE Brown Executive MBA. We make you write, and that might seem like with AI tools that are now, but we find that the process of putting your thoughts, your analysis on paper and writing well, clearly, concisely is a critical communication and leadership skill. And Brown has been known for that. So buckle up. If you come to the program, we guarantee you'll do a lot of writing and you'll improve in that writing. I love to do the research for updating this stuff. IE has for decades been rated in the top rankings for business schools, for business programs, for their global offerings. When I did it just, I think last year, there was like 9 top 10 rankings. I've looked at different categories. They're day in and day out doing exceptional work. And again, one of the reasons for the partnership would be here's one of the top universities in Europe is partnering with a top university in the US, and we track students and alumni from across the globe because they want to have the best of both institutions. Another thing that's great about this program, and it is part of a career outcome and it's a career benefit, is the alumni network. So, a lot of people think that if you attend an institution, particularly a place like Brown as a part of the Ivy League, that there's some type of special handshake or Latin phrase that's going to get you access. Sorry, that's not true. However, going through a program like IE Brown, you will be a Brown full-fledged alumnus of the school. You will also be a full-fledged alumnus or alumna of IE University, and you have full access to both of those networks. And what our students do and what our alumni do is depending upon who they're speaking with, choose to say which one they attended. They say, oh, I went to this really cool executive MBA program, IE University. And for those people that in Europe and different parts of the world where IE is better known, you start with that and then say, oh, yep. And then I also went to Brown. Or you lead with Brown and then say, oh, and it was also with this amazing top-ranked business school. So between the two, you're going to get over a couple 100,000 living alumni who are out there, and both have an amazing number of nationalities that are represented, and clubs that, as an alum, are across the globe. Some of those cities have both IE and Brown clubs. And these can be really helpful as you're traveling in business, or if you are outside Europe or outside Spain or the US, you're looking to connect with people. These networks of people, including the clubs, are around the globe. Everyone who graduates from this program will automatically get emails that say at alumni.brown.edu or at alumni.ie.edu. And that tends to be something that just with that, alumni who are contacted will pick up the phone or pick up the email and respond. Okay, as I mentioned, what we find as a career outcome is that it's global. The types of people, the faculty, the courses, and the actual study that you do get you around the world, and that this will help in your professional success in terms of having stories, having examples to draw from. Key reflection projects tend to have global impact for people. We find a number of people in this program start ventures. And in fact, the picture here on the right is actually dated. I need to change this. Tim James, who is featured here in one of our articles from a year or two ago, had worked for State Street, a big financial services company based in Boston. And Tim had risen really quickly up the ranks. And everyone was encouraging him to do an executive MBA so that he could round out his business knowledge and network. To Tim's credit, before coming into the program, he was the chairman of the Lenny Zakem Foundation, which worked with youth in Boston, particularly underserved youth, to provide them with both educational and job development skills. And Tim had found that through both coursework, teamwork, and the network, that he was able to really grow both in terms of his professional work at State Street. He did receive a promotion while he was there, and then, but also his as a leader at in a boardroom. And he is youthful. He was young, and I think the credibility of a program like ours continued to help him in his career. Since then, Tim and two classmates have started a global consulting company, and he spends more time on the road at home, but he credits the program to both giving him the skill set, the knowledge, the experience, and two partners, classmates of his, to help start this business. All right. We did some polling of our alumni. We think that this was a couple years ago, but this holds true. We had close to 60% of our students, usually within a year or two of graduation, who saw growth in their salaries. And that equated to over $50,000. And that I think is really important to know because it includes people for whom the US dollars was not their denomination. So this, if it was just pure, if I could normalize it just over US dollars, would be even significantly higher. So as you think about that investment in the tuition in a program like this and seeing raises that will come soon after, many people it's during the program, you start to fairly quickly within a few years of start being able to pay off what you put into the program. As important is, what people feel as though the skills, the experience, the confidence that they get from being in a program like this in terms of what they learn, and also as they grow through their exposure to their interactions with their colleagues, their classmates. So over 9 out of 10 people were satisfied with their personal development, networking, how they improved as a manager. And what we found in our surveys is that 9 out of 10 people are using the skills daily. And whenever I do panel discussions with alumni, I usually get many of them that are saying, oh, yes, this class, which I didn't think I would use at the time, I'm now using all of the time to help me analyze problems, deal with people. All right, now I want to go into just a few personal stories of things that hopefully will give a little more color to some of those numbers that I just showed you. And there's a little bit of bias in here in terms of being quite recent. It's been really fun. So soon after getting out of a program like this, usually people come into it because they know in their current roles they need to do more, they need to do better, they need a broader exposure to help them in their professional lives. Their motivation is to move up often or to move over and a program like this does it. So it's not surprising that a lot of people are looking while they're in the program or soon after to make a change. And what we find is that the confidence that they gain from the academic experience through their exposure with classmates is that they really feel that they have the substance, both the sizzle and the steak to make that move to move on. So this example here, this probably can be hard for many of you to read on the screen. Again, we're going to share it with you. But this one just warmed my heart. This is a student who had been in private banking, wealth management, working with very high net worth individuals, doing a lot of analysis of what types of different investment strategies and portfolios would be ideal for this person, meeting the personal needs of the client or the client's family. So really needing to have the skills, not only from a financial standpoint, but also from a client relationship and understanding what clients needed, how they looked at the world and all. And that IE Brown just did a super job of exposure to feel like he could speak in many ways on the same level as clients. So this person worked with our career services team here to make a huge change. And we just got this email about 2 or 3 weeks ago saying, I've got wonderful news. I've started a new role in a private banker at one of the top private banks in the world. And this came with a significant increase in the base salary. and better overall in terms of incentives than what this individual had been working on. And just tickled me, very, very proud and humbled, but thanking the team. And the email, this email that I'm taking excerpts from, went to, which was fabulous, was to all the faculty, to both the Brown IE faculty as well as senior leadership. And felt like since doing this program and the outreach, that the people at this new company where he's joining were treating him with respect. That with IE's name, with Brown's name, that really carried some weight for him, and knew that prior his efforts to try to change companies and change roles weren't met with any kind of recognition about where he had been to school prior. And this is just a genuine person who worked very hard in the relationships on the program. But you've truly changed my life, and I'll be forever grateful. So we're wishing this is James, who just graduated, great success. But here is a real, hopefully colorful example of someone within financial services who got both hard business skills, but also leading people in strategic foresight, insights to help him as he moved to create a new opportunity for himself. This is a great one from a student who graduated just before I started with IE Brown, Lauren, who is an incredibly talented musician, singer, and producer. She had been doing very well within her music career and found herself needing an understanding of many different important business aspects. So financially, she had been doing very, very well, but knew that she was often getting into contract discussions, that there were things around marketing in terms of strategy, around technology, around new markets outside the US, that she really had to be thinking about as she wanted to grow her career, both as an individual artist in the music industry, but also potentially as a producer and investor of herself. And this comments that came from her just a few years ago, I think it was 2 years ago, is she's still crediting the program to and helping her in her career. Um, She's been featured in Financial Times and the New York Times for a lot of her work, and gives a lot of credit to what she learned and how it expanded her skill set as she navigates a very interesting and diverse music industry. Here's another one of a student that just recently made a change. Someone who's got a material science background, had been leading a decent team of technical experts, engineers. It was in actually pharmaceutical manufacturing for this student. Had been doing well, but wanted to make a change, and in particular, wanted to move up into more management leadership roles, and was encouraged by colleagues and by others that an executive MBA would help do so. So, I think that a lot of times it's when you're around very successful and competitive people, a program like this, and you do it, you do well, you gain a lot of confidence yourself. And I think for Musab, who had this quote, this just came in 2 weeks ago. He was texting back and forth with me. I kept asking him, "Did you get the offer? Did you get the offer?" And his point was, hey, this program really enabled me to take the leap. I felt like I had the substance there. I had the when they would ask me, tell me an example of your leadership or of how you would look at this problem, and all. He really had a very deep, fresh and substantive pool of experiences and examples that he could draw on to help him win the day in the interview. And he comes from, he's originally from Pakistan, educated here, and I believe and had both his undergrad and master's in the Boston area, but truly is someone typical of this program where they might actually be US residents, but come with experiences and a mindset outside of the US, or not solely the US. And for him, he felt he just really leveraged the leadership depth and the collaborative mindset of both faculty and students in the program. So I was thrilled, as I mentioned, texting back and forth just a couple of weeks ago to say, is the offer finalized? And He's thrilled. He also had a significant bump in pay. This is a student that just graduated last year as well and had come to the program having worked at Tesla and Apple in supply chain and operations management. And it was something where he knew he wanted, he was actually young compared to, so he was just at the 10-year mark in terms of experience, but knew that more formal exposure to other big companies, students and faculty, classes that would broaden his exposure. He was not burned out despite being in environments that were really hard, particularly because he had to do it during COVID, where the technical challenges that we all faced, for many of you who are on this call, for him at both Tesla and Apple, really added up. But he wanted to kind of broaden what he was doing. And he was able to find a job. He is now actually, he's a US original citizen, but he and his wife have moved to New Zealand. And he is now working for a pharmaceutical company in their supply chain and operations. And he felt like it gave him both the experience and the credibility as he thought about leadership. And he had a teammate who was from Australia. So the move to New Zealand and understanding how different countries approach different things, he right away already had some forehand foresight and knowledge about how to do business. And he was a super guy in terms of kind of leveraging the experiences of other people. He's an incredibly fit person. He did all of the work. He worked really hard. He was an excellent student. And he, in fact, brought his surfboard from where he had been living in California before he moved to New Zealand. But he surfed here in Providence, also in Cape Town. Unfortunately, you can't surf in Madrid, but he was a really incredible guy. Is. Here's a student who graduated 2 years ago and had already risen to pretty senior levels within her organization, had a law degree prior to coming to IE Brown, and had been the chief legal officer at Henry Ford Health Organization. And really, what she needed to do is that she already had some smarts and understood different things, but had not really been formally exposed to a lot of the financial side of businesses where she really needed to become more and more familiar to understand how decisions were made, how risk was evaluated and assessed. She is now the chief operating officer of a very, very large hospital group, one of the top in the country. So much of the skills that she had in this program helped round out an already amazing leadership journey that she had been on and quite successful. But for her, and this is someone who has been a leader in the community in Detroit, where she's originally from, doing many, many things beyond her professional job. What was remarkable to her was the diversity of the class, and that's what I had mentioned, got us some of the top rankings in the QS surveys that were most recently done. For her, she looked at this in terms of both career outcome and return on investment, that this was transformational for her. She, in fact, won the Distinguished Alumni Award at graduation year this past year in front of over 1,000 graduates that took place in May of 2025 for her contributions and her success as a professional, both in healthcare and in community organizations. Here's another one that I had not been in touch with Chris. He graduated in 22, so a few years ago. And Chris had been a chief technology officer for a number of tech companies and had done really well, but felt like he had been pigeonholed into being the tech guy and wanted to get the opportunity to be in more senior leadership roles that spanned beyond just the technology, but was thinking about strategy, was thinking about investment outside the company in other companies, other markets. In some ways, he was like, did I really need an MBA? I've already arrived at the chief executive or chief technology officer. But he found he was able to, through IE Brown, to move into where he is right now, which is an investment firm that looks at small to medium-sized businesses where they come in, and it's called entrepreneurship through acquisition, where his firm will invest in businesses that have great business models and are earning revenues, but will do very, very well through an added management talent. And Chris has been doing just an amazing job of being able to participate not just on the technology side, but also on the leadership and the strategy side. And he is also someone that I had mentioned before, loves to just, depending upon whether it's his IE hat that he needs to use or his Brown, will quite literally use either the hats or the jackets to signify that he's a member of both institutions. All right, so those are just colors. You can read through those when we send you the slides, but hopefully give you some substance of what our alumni tell us they've gained, the return for them in terms of their career progression, their advancement in a program like this. So I'm going to ask you, is this the right program for you? We are not a cookie cutter MBA, executive MBA. We approach the curriculum, our students, our faculty are all trying to help you to be a better leader and usually differently, that we're going to give you more insights, more approaches, more diversity in terms of how you understand both the opportunities and challenges that you face as a manager, as a leader. By definition, we select, we're very, very lucky, talented people, most of whom are in it to drive change, to make a difference for their companies, for their communities, and for their lives. You are among really talented people. As I mentioned, number one, in terms of career outcomes, you're going to be among people who have really done well and want to continue to do well. We are very much globally focused in our curriculum and our approach. And if this is right for you, if you can think about being in a very flexible environment, a very intense learning environment. So what do we require in the application process? It's easy for me to say, hard for you to do, but it's actually not that hard. We have two personal statements. One has to be a written one, but we also accept video, PowerPoint presentations that respond to one of many prompts that we provide you. We need 2 letters of professional recommendation, transcripts from your undergraduate. Most of our students have, or many of our students, probably 40–50% have advanced degrees. We require an interview. Almost always it's done online. We do not require standardized tests. We have priority reviews where if you get your application completed into us by these dates, the next one November 3rd, December 8th, and then a final deadline of February 19th, we get a decision back to you usually within 5 to 10 business days. This is a program that requires a lot of advanced planning. So get the applications in sooner, get an answer from us so that if this is the right program for you, you can put your professional, your personal life in order, your financial life in order to embark on what is just an amazing, rewarding journey. So I'll stop there and contact us, the iebrown.edu. And I thank you very much for your time and attention. I appreciate 60 minutes is worth a lot for all of us, but hope it gave you some insights in terms of what we feel are the strengths of the program, outcomes that you can achieve through it, examples that alumni have seen, as well as some data that show this is really worth the investment as your time and money. So just to ask if we have just a couple of minutes, if Bryce, there are any questions in the Q&A.
We did get a question. I also wanted to just make sure everybody knows I added the email. If you do have any questions after the session, I added that to the chat. It's professional@brown.edu. So our question here is, if I have 8 years of professional experience, what are my chances of getting selected?
Yeah. So and this is my admissions hat that's on. I'll give you. It depends. So have we seen people come through the program with less than 10 years of experience? Yes. Usually, the quality of that experience, having a fair amount of that experience, really showing a career progression in terms of growth, and in particular, being in roles during that time frame where you've had management, you've had supervision, you've had strategy, you've had a variety of responsibilities. So I would say that chances of less of a student being admitted with less than 10 years would be slight. We would discourage it, but we have seen some people would do it, and that we would have to see the whole application before we make a decision. I would only say, too, is our promises to the people who are in the program that they're going to be among accomplished, experienced people. So it's not that someone less than 10 years couldn't do the program and grow, but rather what we're offering to you in terms of career outcomes and return on investment is knowing that you're going to be among some very experienced people with whom you can really grow, learn, and develop professional and personal relationships.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Brendan. That looks like our only question for today.
Great. So again, thank you very much. Come to our website if you're interested for more information, or as Bryce had mentioned, send us an email. And it's a small program. One of the things I love about it is I tend to pretty much know everyone through the admissions process, my colleagues at IE as well. And I know every student very well. And so if you're looking for a program that you get a lot of personal attention as well as you go through this journey, please know that IE Brown should be top of your list. Thank you. Have a great day.